Hi, and welcome to my series of talks that should have been a tweet. Actually, I did tweet this about 2 months ago, and I've been planning to write a blog post, but why write a blog post when these guys are recorded for you and you can just link to it from their YouTube channel? Anyway, so this is purely a live demo talk. So everybody put your hands together and pray. We hope that it goes well. There's no internet connection required though. I don't know, who here has tried to do a cross-platform app, cross-platform framework before? Just a few people? Who here enjoyed the process? All right, we know who the gluttons for punishment are down the back there. Making a cross-platform framework has been quite perilous in the past. There are a few different ways to go about it, but they usually involve messing around with build settings or creating universal binaries from the command line and that sort of thing. But as of Xcode 11, that's all gone. It's much easier now. So hopefully by the end of this very short demo, we should have an app that runs on iOS, macOS, tvOS, watchOS, and shares a common UI. Now that last part is thanks to SwiftUI. Obviously, if you're not adopting SwiftUI at this early stage, then you can still share your business logic, your networking code, data model, that sort of stuff. So let's get started. We'll start with an iOS app because that's best. Hang on, 2 figures. So we'll create a SwiftUI app. We'll call it Universal because we're messing around. And we'll put it in the CocoaHeads folder. Is that visible to everybody? Yeah. Sweet. So we have an out-of-the-box iOS SwiftUI app. Let's just build and run that and see what we're working with. It's still loading. Yay! You guys are going to be clapping a lot, I promise. All right, so let's make this difficult for ourselves and dive straight in by, I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see what I'm doing. So that's probably too far. We will create a macOS app as well. Where is the app? There it is. And we'll call it Universal Mac because we're lazy. We're going to stick with SwiftUI again. Finish that. I'm not going to build and run all of them or we'll be here all night. Then let's increase the pane. Create a tvOS app. Universal TV. Again, we'll stick with SwiftUI. We might actually build and run that one so everyone can see how that works. (1080p) TV simulator. Yay! Thanks, Jet. Your encouragement is appreciated. And then finally, we'll just go in and add a watchOS app. Watch app. Whoa. And then for this one, we can go ahead and activate that. Again, build and run, blah, blah, blah. All right, so the key thing for that is that we've got, by default, SwiftUI creates a content view that has a hello world text, and it's the same across all platforms. But, so we can mess around with something that looks a little bit more on topic. I'm not used to being zoomed in. Here we go. Let's take our lovely CocoaHeads logo that Carlos designed. and we'll set the render mode to template so that it adopts the color that you tell it. Then if we go into our content view, go image, name, logo. Pro tip, if you wanted to actually do syntax highlighting, make sure you've got the right scheme set. Are you sure? Nope. No, it's just name. Oh, should be dropped off. Cool. So let's make that resizable, and we'll add in the aspect ratio. If you want more information on Swift UI, Matt did a great talk the other week. Is the video up for that? Anyway. And we'll add some padding. Sweet. So let's see what that looks like. Yay, CocoaHeads logo. But if we switch over to, say, the Mac app, here we go. So if we switch over to the Mac app, you can see that it's still using the old one because they don't share content views. So I've got two content views now, one for Mac, one for iOS. So hopefully by the end of this talk, we've got it all sharing a single UI that's cross-platform. So this is the part in the past where you would have gone in and tried to make a cross-platform framework, like you'd add a framework target, mess around with the build settings to try and get it building on all platforms. But, and this has not gone very well reported, but with iOS 11, Xcode 11, we just go File, New, Swift Package. Cool. So let's call this Swift package our UI package. And this is the key part, is the add to. So if we add it to our current project at the root, it will create a brand new Swift package inside your project that's ready to use by the rest of your application, or applications in this case. So if we take our content view, let's move our content view into the UI framework. Let's get rid of the boilerplate. Move our content view up into here. Because it's in a different package now, we need to make it public so that our application targets can see what's going on. So we can make it, whoops, public struct, public var, and because Swift is a bit crazy sometimes, public init. Otherwise, we get an error later on that it's not, the initializer is not public, which is very helpful. So we can then go back into our iOS target, which is just called universal. And then down here in the frameworks bit, we say add. We choose our UI Swift package that we've just created. And that's it, literally. If we go now into our universal target, into the scene delegate where all things live with iOS 13. So if we tried to build and run that now, whoops, I've got to be able to run the iOS one. It's going to complain about a lot actually, but let's jump back one step. Here we go. So the content view is now missing because we've moved it into the framework. So all we need to do then is import our UI framework that we've just created. UI packet. But, and this is a big but now, and it's also a big benefit, managing your Swift packages is not done with Xcode's clunky build settings interface, nothing like that. Instead, you have your standard package.swift, and if we look at the build errors that we're getting, the reason we're having issues is because it's trying to build for all platforms because we haven't told it what platforms we support. And some of the stuff that we're using is iOS 13 only because Swift UI is iOS 13 only. So all we need to do to support literally everything and have it build a cross-platform package is to add in the platforms here, which is an array. So we want to support iOS, minimum of version 13. We want to support macOS, minimum of v10.15. watchOS, which I think is, what version did we say that was, Matt? 6? I think it's 6. And tvOS, which follows the other version scheme. Cool. So that's literally all we need to do to build a cross-platform framework. And you probably just missed the fact that that was build success. So if we look back at the scene delegate now, it's finding the content view. It's no longer an error, so if we build and run that, yay! So that's now loading that content view from the Swift package as opposed to the target itself. And we can prove that by, I forgot to keep track of where I was up to. Now, this, unfortunately, beyond the scope of this talk is that we're not sharing assets as part of that because Swift packages don't deal with assets very well at the moment. So for cheating purposes of this talk, let's just go and add the logo to the macOS project as well. Oops, that was iOS, my bad. Add the logo to macOS. Set the render target to template. Great, so now in our Mac content view, we can delete that because we're going to share it from the UI framework. We need to go in again and add to our Mac target, add in the UI Swift package that we've created, which, as we know, supports macOS, so that's fine. Can then go into Mac app delegate. You'll see that if I try and build that, there's a warning that I can't find content view because we deleted it. But if we import our UI package, that should be build success. And there we go, one Mac app. So that's an iOS and a Mac app sharing the same Swift UI code. Now for completeness, let's do this again quickly. Now something that we didn't really touch on before is why I'm doing this render mode. By default, if we set it to template, especially with Swift UI, you can then ask Swift UI to render across the top of the image. So it just basically uses the alpha channel to do that. Come on. Oh, wait. So if we go to our tvOS app, delete the content view, add the framework for workspace for UI, and then again in the app delegate, we'll see that we have a content view, so we just import that. Nope, that's still the Mac app. So the hardest part of this is juggling too many simulators. So you'll notice now that it's been adopting the white, but in the iOS simulator it's black. It's just adopting the primary color. And you can easily change that with the Swift UI code. So finally, if we look at the watch extension, just to get the set, drag our logo into that, delete the existing content view, and then this one, yep, watch extension, import our UI framework again, and then in the hosting controller, we import UI. So we should now be able to hopefully build and run that as well. Oops, I chose the wrong one. This is series 4. Who wants to go Series 4? Everyone knows Series 5 simulator is the latest and greatest. Might be premature. Ah, right, yes. That would do it, yep. So it's there, it's just black. That makes the last part of the demo. So now just to prove that it is fully cross-platform, if we go back to our UI, our UI Swift package, and we then set the foreground color to say purple. We can build and run that there. We should get purple. We can go back to our TV, build and run that, and it should be purple. See, it's all cross-platform. That's it.